Thanks so much for tuning in. This will be the August 2026 meeting updates. Before we get going, I'll address the upcoming election. Many of you have heard or seen or know that I am not seeking reelection. I am not running in this race. I've known for several months, but I've decided to keep it fairly close to the vest. I don't think it's right for a seated politician, a seated elected official, in a race where we're run at large, where five people are elected at large, as we are. I think it's unfair to come out early. I think it's a bit disrespectful to the seated council who may or may not seek reelection. And I think it can unfairly cause people to run or not to run. My opinion is if you want to be on the city council, regardless of who is running, you should run. Of course, there are strategic decisions that you'll need to make. And so that's important, but um, I'm not seeking reelection. I don't talk a lot about my personal life here. I try to keep that separate from the city council. But many of you know I do have five wonderful kids, four boys and a girl. Of those are two 1-year-old twins, and my oldest is 13, and I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I've, I've I have devoted or given 8 years of service to the city of Carencro. Three of my five kids have not known me as not a city council member. They were not born when I ran, and so we've done really well raising our family. But I think it's time for me to devote some more time to them. I think the city of Carencro is in an excellent place financially, infrastructure wise, leadership wise, and so I think it's the right time for me to take a step back and let someone new come in. And so we'll see what happens. I do intend to be back at some time. I have no plans on what that time is. I have no plans on what position that would be. But I do plan to be back at some time in the future. It's an absolute honor to be of service. It's one of the important things I think about being a Catholic and a Christian is to serve others. And so it was an honor to serve each of you. Your support means a lot to my family and I, and so I really appreciate it. Um, in terms of the election itself, I think we have an interesting race. I'm hopeful that we have a debate, and we'll see what happens, and we'll kind of go from there. And as time goes, we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, this week we had our regular council meeting. I was not able to make it. I have a full time job, and we had somebody out on vacation, and I had to work Monday night. So I was not able to make that meeting, but I did have discussions with the council. Of course, I attended the council briefing and stated my opinion on the things there. And I watched the full video. So I'll give you some updates, but I do think this video will be a little bit shorter. And so we'll see how it goes. So starting out, I'm going to just go off of the council briefing agenda. There really was not any significant difference or other items at the council meeting. And because I was not there, I'm going to stick just to the council briefing. First item was we heard from Ms. Claire Darby on hazard mitigation. This is a routine resolution that we pass. It's in conjunction with LCG, and it basically states that we're working together, we're in cooperation for hazard mitigation, floods, those sort of things. And so there's no significant change in the language from previous years, and so this did pass unanimously. We have two civil service board potential vacancies. The first one was Mr. Brian Viator. His term on the Civil Service Board expires next month. He is eligible and willing to continue serving. He's been on that board for some time. For those of you who don't know, we have a civil service board as some of our firefighters and our police officers are civil service. And so that board oversees hiring, firing, disciplinary actions, those sorts of things with police officers and some firefighters. And so some of those appointments are by the council, some by the mayor, some by UL. President, and so Mr. Bryan's willing and able to continue serving, so I believe that'll happen. That was unanimously passed. The next item is purchasing of some property on veterans. I'm becoming more and more leery of the city purchasing property. I was very leery of it before I was elected. And then I got elected, and I really we purchased multiple properties for various reasons throughout my 8 years. Um, and there certainly are needs for that, but I do think we need to be careful. Um, I will tell you before I give you the details of this one. This one makes sense. This one is a good purchase. And so this one is on Veterans, right at the Cooley. If you're coming from I-49 toward University on Veterans, just before you get to the Cooley on the right, there's a house there, and we have a sewer lift station. That lift station is very, very old. It is on its last toe, not even its last leg. And there were multiple plans. We didn't have enough space there on that property to do anything. So the first option was going to be to bore under the Cooley onto the next piece. That property owner was willing to work with us, but certainly would have preferred not to have that on his property. The other option was to bore under Veterans and go on the other side. That was also very expensive, both of those options. And so the reason that hasn't happened yet, when Mayor Clavier came in, and it looked like the sewer plant was going to cost a lot more than we initially anticipated, she put a hold on redoing sewer lift stations. This is one of those. I think it's ultimately going to work out in our favor here, because that house where the lift station currently is, has come up for sale. I could be wrong on the numbers. I'm going to use some rough numbers. I think it was about 120,000 to purchase the house and property, and then that house will need to be demolished. But that is considerably cheaper than trying to bore under the road or under the Cooley. So ultimately, we're going to save money. We're going to have some property. We can build a much bigger lift station that'll continue to prepare us for future growth. So I think just from a number standpoint, this purchase makes sense. It's not buying property to buy property for no good reason. It'll actually save us money, or be a wash and give us more opportunity for expansion. So this was passed by the council unanimously. We did accept the gas bid. For those of you who don't know, we had roughly $3 million grant to replace the gas lines. We have a lot of old gas lines in the ground. There was a hiccup or a snafu with the bids. The actual winning bidder was somewhere around just under $2 million. But he very, very quickly realized that there was a miscalculation when he ran his numbers, and he did not actually put in um, one of the important number. If I understood correctly, it was the kind of his cut or his portion. It's a percentage of the cost of all the things. And so he went through, and I had a lot of questions about this and was very nervous. Ms. Taylor James asked our attorney about this at the meeting, and I really appreciate that. And I asked our engineer at the council briefing, is this legal? Obviously, we don't want people submitting bids and then realizing they're low and pulling it out. And so, from my understanding, the contractor went through all the proper legal steps to withdraw his bid, and it's valid. So, fortunately, the second lowest bidder is still in the budget that we had. So we also had some contingencies built in for some Cooley crossings and one other thing, and we will be able to do those within the budget that we have. And so we're fine. That's good. So that'll move forward. The next thing is the water project. We have some more money to continue and get very, very close to finishing getting all the cast iron water out of the ground. This project was started under Mayor Glenn Brasso and his CAO, Don Chauvin, and fortunately was continued by our current mayor, Charlotte Clavier. When I got in office, brown water was by far one of the most common calls that I received, and it was a nightmare. And a large portion, if not all of that, was due to cast iron pipes. And for various reasons, the sediment at the bottom would get stirred up and the water would get browned. And everyone was upset, including my own wife, who washed clothes and tried to bathe kids in brown water. And so one of the fixes for that's to get the cast iron out the ground. And it has been, even though we're not finished, I don't think I've gotten a brown water call in, well over a year, maybe 2 years. And so it's working, but we need to finish. And so we did accept the next phase of that water project. We then saw some plans. I'm really, really excited. Got some state money for Fire Station number 2, which is the station on Hector Conley. Many of you know I was a volunteer on the Careco Fire Department for some years. And so that department's near and dear to me. And that station was one that I spent many hours at. And this is going to, the fire service across the nation is changing. Volunteerism is at an all-time low across the nation, not just in the fire service, but in every volunteer aspect. And so we have, like many or most departments in the area, began employing full-time employees. And part of that is they need living quarters. They need somewhere to sleep at night. They need somewhere to cook lunch. They need somewhere to, get out of the heat. And so I saw some plans for a building to put there so that those firefighters, volunteer and full-time, will have a place. It's also very helpful during hurricanes or blizzards or whatever we have, when the firefighters actually need to stay there to respond quicker. So there'll be some sleeping quarters, bathrooms, kitchen, that sort of thing. So very excited about that. Our firefighters deserve it, and that should be starting relatively soon as well. Next thing is the police the police station fountain. We've talked about that extensively. I think we finally have a resolution. We had approved around $11,000 to get the pumps and fountains fixed and taken care of. It was a little more damage than we anticipated. There were more problems than we anticipated. And so that plan has been scrapped, and we're going to go to the plan B, which is a local person who will install new fountains sized properly. And so that requires about $3,000 more, about $14,000 total. Fortunately, the first company who came from Florida and pulled the fountains out and evaluated them did not charge us. And so that, we saved some money there, but this should get going. One of the big things for me is this cosmetic or is it functional? And I asked that question, and I had a feeling of the answer, but I wanted to be sure. And the answer is it's both. But one of the things, for me is if you have to decide on something that is just cosmetic, maybe we don't need it, right? Sure, a fountain looks beautiful, but maybe we don't need it. But these fountains, especially in big ponds, if you go to Pelican Park or any of these ponds, you will see fountains. And yes, they can be beautiful, but if that water sits and stays stagnant, you're going to have odors, you're going to have bacteria, you have mosquitoes. And so the fountains turn that water over and help prevent some of that from happening. The other big thing you may have heard us talk about is that turtles were a big part of the problem why they failed the first time. They ate into the wiring and fried it. So we do have a plan for that. The person installing it has a cage type system that the wires will go in to protect them going forward. Next, we talked about the occupational license portal. I will tell you, I think Candace Tompkins is overall doing an excellent job. She wears a lot of hats. She does a lot of things, and she is gotten off the ground and is running. And this particular item is the occupational license portal. It is a program that was developed by UL. Previously, we were paying 50% of what we collected or what they collected to a third-party company. We're bringing that in-house now. I think it's 4 or 6% that we're going to pay, so substantial savings. She's doing an excellent job cross-referencing the occupational license compared to the utility commercial bills. That's always been a big question for me is how do we know if we're capturing all the businesses here? Sure, if you need to build a building or do major repairs, that we will capture you when you come in for your permits. But if a business comes in and they're just taking over an existing business or many other things, we may not know. We may not capture it unless those people know to come to us or do the right thing and come to us. So I think we're using some really smart ways to make sure we're finding these businesses so that all of our businesses are on a level playing field. Um, so great job to Candace and the work she's doing, not only on occupational licenses, but on the website and many other things. The next civil service board issue is that Mr. Todd Olivier has decided to run for city council, in which case he can't serve on the civil service board. And so he is going to step down. He has been there, I believe, since its inception. And, he's served on the park board and really done some amazing things for our community. Volunteered a lot of time, spends a lot of time at Carencro High School, particularly with the athletics and football team. So he has recommended Mr. Tyler Smith, who also served on Park, lives in town, a really, really great local person to put on that civil service board. And so the council did approve that. We talked about the LA Cubs. LA Cubs are a private, non-for-profit sports organization, particularly in youth football. They are looking to partner with us. I had gotten some phone calls from some of their people early on in their process. They've been going a year or two now in terms of their teams. And primarily, as I understand it, they've been doing mostly select or tournament or travel type football. Now that they've got their feet wet and their feet under them and they're ready to keep moving, they would like to do recreational football. And so they're looking to partner with us, potentially take over football in terms of youth sports for Carencro. I think we have some kinks to work out. One of the big things is ensuring that our kids within the city limits of Carencro have a place that they can play that is safe and affordable. And so those are the things that we need to work through with them. I'm not sure how it's going to all turn out, but I've had great conversations with them, and I know they're willing to work with us. So more to come, but I am a supporter at this point of the LA Cubs. They've turned in all the appropriate paperwork. There's one document they still need to turn in, insurance, IRS documents, nonprofit status, all of those things. So we're moving forward with them, and I think we'll have more to come. The other thing is Irish Street. We got the light put up at Irish Street after many, many years of many people trying. Um, again, this kind of started way back when with Mayor Glenn Brasso and Don Chauvet, his CAO, trying to get DOTD to move this project forward. And Mayor Clavier continued that fight in Baton Rouge with DOTD and ultimately got the light put up. As part of the traffic studies that we had done over the years, one of the things that came up time and time again was we needed a longer left turning lane off of Ira. What happens is only 2 or maybe 3 cars can get in the left turn lane, and then nobody can turn right, and so that it backs up there. So this is going to provide a really extended left turn lane so that if you're wanting to take a right, you can easily get around that left turn traffic and take a right on the University, which I think will help tremendously. So those are the things in the meeting. All of those passed unanimously at the actual council meeting that I was not able to attend. Lots of great things happening that the mayor announced. I'm going to bring up just a few of them. Most of them have already passed, but I do think it's important for you to know what's going on. Backstreet Boxing has been a part of Carencro for a long, long time. They had an event at the community center. They were very successful. My understanding, it was a great event. And so, we have a lot of things happening here in Carencro for youth and older people that is positive. Carencro actually has a very long tradition of pretty successful boxers through the years. Carencro High had a cleanup day. The many sports teams and extracurricular groups went before school started and got that school cleaned up. The football team had a hydration drive at Sean Pines, which was very successful. Community showed up. Sean Pines was a great partner, allowing them to set up there and collect water and snacks and the things that they need to be successful in the season. Kiwanis, I've said many times, I'm a proud Kiwanis supporter, but I am not a member. Many people are members and do a great, great job, but they had their back to school bash and lots of things. Gave away backpacks, gave free haircuts, many, many things that um, allow kids to get school year started right. One of the things that kind of warms my heart the most is the number of people who showed up to give free haircuts to kids. It's um, a good pair of shoes and a nice haircut to start the school year really can make a kid feel really good about themselves. And so, if you're not friends with Kiwanis on Facebook, please go and like them, support them in their projects. It's unbelievable the good they're doing for our community. Support those vendors that went out, those barbers and hairstylists who went out and gave their time to cut hair. It's really amazing the community that we have. The mayor talked about school buses. Cannot be overstressed. The school year has started. Please be careful. Slow down. Nothing is worth injuring a kid, wrecking into a school bus. Please be patient. Also, Carencro was awarded the Community Achievement Award for the Sabal Festival. So that was a great award that we received. And then Councilwoman Danielle Caprito, who, as all of you should know, is an absolute rock star on the council. She is uh, just a shining star in our community. She's part of Kiwanis, Keep Carencro Beautiful, which is a part of Keep Louisiana Beautiful. She has really tackled blight and litter and beautification. And she has applied for a $10,000 grant, and we found out that she has been awarded that grant to put a welcome sign in the roundabout. Um, I can't say enough good things about Danielle and what she's done for our community. I consider her a great friend, and I can tell you she is an excellent council member. So, thank you to Danielle for what you've done in the past and what you'll continue to do. Um, Thanks again. I know we're kind of coming to the end here. We're in August. We got a couple of months left of me here. And again, I can assure you that I'm still 100% engaged. Discussed with the mayor the initial budget this week. I'll be heavily involved in the budget process. And I can assure you that until midnight on December 31st, I will be fighting for you. Thank you.